the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all these blown out spots here. If you look over here, that's where you know if it has zero information. As you can see, once I turn it on, it shows me in the red. See those red spots? That has zero information. So then I'm going to drop this highlight down just a smidge just to get rid of that. See that? I mean, you could even have just a little bit, but for the most part, you don't want any of it. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and back out again. Okay, so that's good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to brighten it up a little bit more, just because we want to make sure that, you know, we open up some of those shadows that she's got in there. That's usually a pretty good spot. You basically play with it until you figure it out. Obviously you do remove chromatic aberrations and enable profile correction for the lens. And you go down here, temperature. I don't usually mess with this, with the white balance, just because it, you know, the way I shot it, I already set my camera to pretty much capture the colors, the correct white balance. You go down here, you change this to portrait. Okay, that's gonna warm it up a little bit, not much, but a little. I don't mess with contrast. Shadows, she's got some shadows here, but we're gonna fix that with Photoshop once we open it up. Let's see, blacks. Blacks, I do like to keep it turned on, okay? The reason I like blacks is because you want one portion, a little tiny bit of your blacks to be, see how right here I've got just a little bit of black that's got zero information. That's what the blue is. Like I said, I have it turned on. You turn it on by this right over here. Okay, so once you have that, then you can back out again. I like looking at the image at about 25% when I'm doing this process, because I don't want to go in too close, because you're going to see all the nasty grainy stuff in there. But that's pretty much how I set up the raw process. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and click open image. Okay, it opened the image. So first thing I do is I zoom in, and I zoom in quite a bit. So if you notice, I'm already at 100%, and notice when I shot this, there's some blurriness around the eyes, which we'll correct later. But right now the main focus is to clean up all this hair, clean up the blemishes, the dark circles around her eyes. There isn't that much shine, so it's okay. Here's some stuff that I'm gonna clean up too right here, because we don't want to show that in the picture. Over here. Okay, so let's get to work. I usually make a duplicate copy of the image, so I could always go back and fix that stuff. So I like to use, for fixing up hair, cleaning up blemishes, that kind of stuff, I like to go over here and I like to use my what's it called? My sorry, having a brain fart moment there. My patch tool. There we go. There's my patch tool. So when I go in here, first I'll get rid of the little stuff, like this little hair here. Okay, it's not much. You can see it. Move it over. Done. See how easy that was? And it didn't mess up any of her face. Nothing. I like to remove the blemishes, get that out of the way. Get that out of the way there. We try to keep this as natural looking as possible. So if you're over correcting, it's gonna show. See how I did that? See that little dark spot? See, that's a mess up. So then I just Command Z to undo. See that? There it is again. So what I'll do is I'll zoom in to that area and I'll make my little patch a little smaller, trying to make sure that I don't touch any of the dark around it. And then I'll move this up to right about there, and see how much better that looks. It looks natural. Looks like it just went away. All right, there's some stuff here. There's some stuff here, some right there. Or you could always go and switch by using Shift J. Switch to this. It's the what do they call that one? They call that the healing brush tool. So with the healing brush tool, you can pretty much just, it's like the patch tool, except it's the size of your cursor. See this little thing right over here? So that's a little discoloration in the skin, could be a blemish, we don't know because we're so close up. What I like to do is I like to make my healing brush just a little bigger than the blemish. Click on it. Whoops, you gotta define, forgot to define. I like to go off to like a nice smooth area, so you know, even like right here, that's pretty good. And there you go, covers it right up. Okay, so now zoom out a little bit, make sure that it didn't do anything funny. Okay, so now I'm gonna handle some of these hairs, like right here on her face, on her nose, just barely going over her eyeball. Now you could also use this tool that I've got right now, the healing brush. You can click like right here and then just carry over, and look at that. Can't even tell anything was removed. What I like to do is I always like to sample very closely to where I'm going to be working. See, takes that right away. On the nose here, perfect example. I click there and I carry it over. Gotta go slow, you know. It always samples from the same spot that you click. So if you pick up, you click and carry it over, the next time you click and carry it over, it's gonna start back where you were. So I like to keep resampling very closely to where the hair is so that I don't mess up any of the skin. See how easy that is? Look at that. And this is what you do. This is how you get rid of hairs nice and easily without damaging what you're working with. See how right there you can tell that I've edited when you zoom in real close. So Command Z, undo that. I'll go back into my patch tool because I like to use that because it seems to be a little faster. Just circle that little portion there, carry it down. We're gonna remove some of these bags anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But just circle the hair, move it, bring it out. See how it makes it go away and it doesn't mess up the picture to where it looks like you've edited it. We want to make sure that the photo looks as natural as possible without all these little, you know, problems. No blemishes, no hairs going through the eyeballs. And I'm very picky when I get down to it. I like to make sure that it doesn't look over edited. So as you see, I'm just going through and removing some blemishes as well while I'm removing the hair. So now this one here, see how it goes through her lip? So what I like to make sure to do when you're doing things that have such a big contrast like the skin to the lipstick that she's wearing is I like to carry it down and make sure the lipstick, the line, the contrast stays, because if you don't do that, then you're gonna get a nice big discoloration. So I'm gonna undo what I just did, because see how nice that turned out? But I'm gonna undo what I just did, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna carry this over to, let's say, the skin. See, you can see where you edited it. See how this breaks up right here? And look at what I'm working at. I'm working at 300%. So I'm gonna undo what I just did, and I'm gonna do it the right way. There we go. All right, so now this hair here, get rid of that. Carry it over a little bit. Here, carry it down. Carry it over. Once again, here's the chin. See where the chin, see this line here? If you carry this over just a little bit, continuing that line, you have no problems. The hair goes away nice and clean, as opposed to doing something like that and carrying it over too far somewhere where it's not going to work. Notice some blemishes there. Alright, anyways, we'll continue with the hair cleanup. See how nice and okay, so here's a perfect example again. There's the jawline, there's the hair going into it. If I take this and I carry this over here, see, it gets rid of the jawline too, right? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure it looks nice and natural, so we carry it over and we carry it with the jawline. See, that line's back, the jaw is back, and it removed the hair. So same thing here, carry that down. Now we're getting into the neck. When we get into the neck, I'll show you how to clean up this stuff here without making it too hard, but I'm not going to do that right now because we're still removing hair. Okay, so I got one strand right here. Get rid of that. See this one right here? This one is no good. Get rid of that. There's that. That would look a little odd, so we'll get rid of that. But notice how it's non-destructive. I'm not damaging the photo. I'm not changing the colors of anything. I'm just removing hair. Here's another perfect example of if I were to just say, okay, I'm just gonna do this whole thing, and I were to carry it over here. See how nasty that turned out? Look, when I zoom out, you can see that there is something removed there. So I'm going to undo that and zoom back in 300. I'm going to carry this over, carrying the line of her eyebrow over. I click on it. Look, you can't even tell there was anything there. Same thing up here. Over here you can select this big area and just carry it over there. That's fine. That gets rid of that. But then you still have this, and you have to be very detail oriented when you're working on headshot photos, because that's where people are looking. So notice here it kind of brightened it up a little bit, so I like to use my burn tool. You go over to burn, you set your exposure up here. Let's say you set it to 20%, and then you just darken that up just a little, not too much like I just did, but just a little bit. There you go. So now you zoom out. Can you tell anything changed? Not really. So go back to your patch tool. We're gonna work on this area here because when I did the first patch tool there, it did brighten it up a little bit, and see, that's just horrible. So that I would just undo because I selected too big of an area. Now if I select just this area, carry it up, you can see it didn't do anything, didn't damage the photo. Same thing over here, carry that down, nice and easy, makes it look like nothing ever happened. But that's what I do. I try to make sure that I keep in mind that it's got to look real. It can't look over painted with a different color. It's got to look natural, because when this girl here goes to a casting agent with a headshot that looks over edited, he's not even going to want to submit that to his clients because he's going to be embarrassed. So you got to just make sure you're on top of it when you're correcting these photos, paying attention to the little things. Try to keep the skin textures the same. Once again, we'll get rid of that. We're going to get rid of the bags that she's got under her eyes. So that's bad right there. But anyways, you get the gist of that, right?